I invite the member for Surrey North to lead the House in prayer or reflection.
Is open. Ek Onkar means God is only one. Satnam means His name is true. Karta Purkh means He is the Creator. Nirpav means He is without fear. Nirvair meaning He is without hate. Akal Murt, He never dies. Ajuni, He is beyond birth and death. Sahapang, He is self-illuminated. Gur Prasad, He is realized by the kindness of the true Guru. Jap, meditate on His name. Aaj Sat Juga Sat means, for He was when time began. He has been true for ages. Happy Sach, Hosi Bhi Sach means, He is still true. Guru Nanak says, He will forever be true. Thank you.
Introduction by members. Member for Columbia River Revelstoke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to welcome to the gallery today the summer tour guide group, as well as the parliamentary players. Had a wonderful meeting with them yesterday. They'll be busy all summer touring visitors around the precinct, as well as some of the reenactments that take place. I had, again, a great meeting with them yesterday. They wanted to know a little bit about MLA life, so I'd like to welcome them all to the House today. Please join me in making them feel welcome.
Mr. Premier.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We're joined today by 35 constituency advisors from across the province of British Columbia who work with government MLAs every day. They are the front line of our offices. I know the opposition and third party are well aware of the important role of these amazing people. They are constantly met by people who are there to thank them for the amazing work of our government. So it's largely a feel-good job. No, it's... They often meet people who are profoundly upset about challenges they've had with provincial government. There's just a disconnect in a program, or they're not aware of an opportunity, or they need advocacy. And so it's a really hard job. They take a lot of challenging cases and support people across the province. And I want to thank them so much for doing that incredibly hard work every single day with a smile on their face, welcoming everyone in the community. So grateful to all of them for their amazing work.
Member for North Vancouver Seymour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we have some distinguished guests, and I hope to be able to say my friends as well, joining us today in the gallery. I'm honoured to welcome the members of the Consular Corps of British Columbia, who are taking part in a series of ministerial briefings today. The Consular Corps represents over 80 countries and 4 international organizations. These dedicated individuals serve as vital bridges between their countries and our province, providing assistance to their citizens. They also play an important part in fostering trade and investment, supporting people-to-people ties, and building cultural connections. I would like to acknowledge the Dean of the Consular Corps, Ricardo Arredondo, Consular General of Argentina, and all members of the Consular Corps who have joined us today. Mr. Speaker, I ask that all members of this House join me in offering a very warm welcome.
George, North Caribou.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to welcome the representatives from Deaf Blind Community Services, affiliated with the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, and representatives from CNIB as well. Penny Bennett, Mindy Tang, Brenda Steller, Sherry Gabrowski, Vice President, Deaf Blind Community Services, Janine Tucker, Manager, Deaf Blind Community Services, Brenda McAllister, my constituent from Macleese Lake, David McGregor, Elizabeth Dagg, Brenda Tuff, Lisa McCarran, Patrick Milne, the Chief Operating Officer of CNIB, Jane Savignon, the Chair-elect of CNIB's National Board, and Alice Clark. While some of those members are not able to see or hear this introduction, they are joined with interveners who would help them, and you will see them around the precinct. And I wish that you would give them a very warm welcome, and I would advise that they gave a wonderful presentation to the Opposition Caucus earlier today, and I thank them for their advocacy and their efforts in helping the deafblind community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister of Citizen Services.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today I have the pleasure to introduce Dr. June Francis, who is in the gallery today. And Dr. Francis is the chair of BC's Anti-Racism Data Committee, and she's also the honorary counsel for Jamaica in Vancouver. I always appreciate getting together with Dr. Francis and a great conversation. So would the House please make Dr. Francis feel very welcome. Thank you.
Member for Richmond Queensborough.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to take a moment to introduce two guests in the gallery. Peter C., the legislative assistant to myself, as well as my colleague here from Richmond Bridgeport, as well as my other colleague from Kamloops Centre, as well as my other colleague from Kamloops North, Thompson. We all appreciate Peter C. Very much. We've developed a good partnership with him, and he keeps us on our toes and makes sure we are on schedule wherever we have to go in the legislature. And so it's a great honor to have Peter here in the legislature, in the gallery, to witness question period in person. He's here with his mother, Wendy, and she's also witnessing question period for the very first time. So can the House make them please welcome? Thank you.
Minister of Social Development and Poverty Reduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to welcome the interveners for the CNIB deafblind community. My ministry is very proud to partner with them and be one of their funders. Also, in the gallery, my ministerial advisor who supports both me and the Parliamentary Secretary for Accessibility, Chris Maddock, is with us. It is his birthday. Also from Nanaimo, my friend and amazing volunteer and campaigner, Mackenzie Frost. She's 15, I think, and really giving back to community. And also with her superstar mum, my constituency advisor, Kirsten Mahaffey. Will the Chamber please make them all very welcome?
Member for Penticton Summerland.
Thank you. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Mayor Doug Holmes, who's here with us in the gallery today, joining us from the beautiful District of Summerland in Penticton Summerland. I'm very lucky to have a great working relationship with Mayor Holmes and his council, so will the House please join me in making him feel very welcome?
Member for Nanaimo Lansdale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to recognize an outstanding young leader from Nanaimo and my riding, Rocky Sloan, a student from Dover Bay Secondary, who is just one of 36 recipients of the prestigious Lawrence Scholarship. There are thousands of people who apply for it, and Rocky is one of those lucky individuals. The Lauren Foundation looks beyond grades to find students of character, young people who lead with purpose, integrity, and service, and Rocky embodies all of that. He founded his school's first French club, serves as a student council president, started a nonprofit for seniors to live independently, and launched a fundraiser for BC Children's Hospital. Also, he plays the piano, the flute, and tennis, proving that some people really do get more than 24 hours in a day. Rocky's a remarkable young British Columbian, and we're proud to celebrate him today. I hope the entire House will join me in making Rocky feel welcome. Welcome, Rocky.
Member for Courtney Comox.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to welcome a group of grade 6s and 7s and future leaders from Quinish Elementary School, which is situated on the traditional territory of the Comox First Nations, along with their teacher, Wes Mann, from the beautiful Comox Valley. I hope they enjoy their time today here in this beautiful building, seeing democracy in action, and that it shapes their future as it certainly shaped mine many years ago. Please let this House make them feel welcome.
Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I have two sets of groups that are here today. We have visitors from the Home Builders Association of Vancouver, members and their board of directors. I want to recognize Elisa Aragon Lloyd, Sherry Stefanucci, Henry Bailey, Jonathan Meads, Sandro Stefanucci, and Stephanie Meads. As well from the Ministry of Housing. We've got some folks here visiting from the Corporate Planning Office. We've got Sally Ishus, Shannon Mullen, Cash Akinu Kunua, Corey Scott, Morgan Hearn, Alicia Mijares, and Sarah Risha. Can the House please join me in making all of these folks welcome?
Leader of the Third Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very honored to introduce the House to my parents, Mary and Jean Valeriot, who to our loving parents and grandparents in our family. You might all be very surprised to learn that they are both chemists. My dad worked 20 plus years for Cominco, now Tech Resources, on battery technology. And my mom had a celebrated teaching career and wrote a book in the 1970s called Controversial Chemicals. The beginning of a trend. They imbued in me a faith in science and public institutions, and they helped me develop the skills that I need to fill this role. Will the House please make them feel welcome?
Member for Vancouver, Kensington.
Mr. Speaker, I join the member of the MLA from Columbia River Revelstoke to welcome the new summer cohort of parliamentary tour guides and parliamentary players here with us in the gallery. They are 17 university students from across British Columbia that join the permanent tour team for our busiest summer months. They welcome visitors each summer to Parliament buildings, lead tours of the historic precinct, and lead performances around the exteriors of the building. On the parliamentary tour guide, we have Grace Wiebe, Lawson Farman, Hannah Link, Louisa Whitmore, Sol Eisenhower, Samar Jain, Nilafur Rizabiak-Dokti, Kennedy Halwa, Madison Irwin. On the parliamentary tour guide team lead, we have Pascal Grenier, Ryan Neal, and parliamentary players Eric Barnes, Sam Frew, Annalyn Kind, Rodil Fraser, Michaela Medill, and Jack Storwick. I ask everybody to give them a very warm welcome for the work that they do to make us all very welcome.
Minister of Education.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. In the legislature today, we have two classes, grade 7 classes from Pitt Meadows Elementary. They're not here yet, but will the House please make them feel very welcome?
Member for Esquimalt Colwood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to recognize two very important people in the House today, especially during Local Government Week. I'd like to welcome Duncan Cavins. I had the pleasure of sitting beside him during my time on local government, as well as, more importantly, his daughter Joelle, who is equally as excited to be here because she's a political dork, kind of like the rest of us in the House, so she got a bit of a tour today and is super excited to be here for question period. So will the House please make them feel welcome?
Minister of Infrastructure.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Joining us today, later on in the afternoon, are 27 grade 9 and 10 students from Alcuin College. They are accompanied by 3 parents and their teacher, Jane DeBeer. Alcuin College is an independent K-12 school in North Vancouver. They foster curiosity-led learning and empower students to think critically and explore with purpose. Will the House please join me in making them feel very welcome?
Member for Kootenay Rockies.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to welcome some students that are in the building but not in the gallery here with us yet, from Flex Academy in Kelowna with their teacher, Joe Epen. So please make them feel welcome. Thank you.
Member for Surrey Cloverdale.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I rise to reserve my right to raise a question of privilege with respect to an ongoing investigation ordered by the Director of Police Services into information presented to me as MLA for Surrey Cloverdale and the official opposition critic for safety and the Solicitor General.
Thank you, Member. Madam Clerk.
Introduction of bills. Statements by members.
Member for Ladysmith Oceanside.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Saturday, May 17th is the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia and Biphobia. And we will join people around the world to recognize the many hard-fought gains that 2S LGBTQIA+ communities have achieved. This year, the theme is the power of communities. It reflects the diversity and richness within the 2S LGBTQIA+ communities and highlights the strength and resilience that emerges from collective solidarity. On this day, we reaffirm that hate and discrimination have no place in British Columbia. Everyone has the right to live without fear of violence or discrimination, and our government is committed to protecting the rights of 2S LGBTQIA+ communities. Society has made progress, but discrimination and stigma continue to cause inequity and marginalization for 2S LGBTQI+ people. In some countries, and even in some parts of Canada, we have seen a reemergence of increasingly regressive policies that are targeting 2S LGBTQIA+ people, and in particular, transgender communities. Alberta recently passed 3 pieces of legislation that specifically targeting the ability of trans youth to fully participate in healthcare, education, and youth sports. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, in recent months, we have seen these same hurtful attitudes be perpetuated by some members of this very House. Equality rights should not be up for negotiation. This government is driven by the core belief that BC is better because of our diversity. We have and we will continue to work relentlessly to advance equality and safety throughout BC for the two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bi, trans, queer, questioning, intersex, and asexual plus communities of this province. We see you, you matter to us, and we stand with you in solidarity, and we will fight every day for equality with you and for you.
Member for Surrey North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Avtar Singh Dhillon was recently awarded the King Charles III Award for community service for his work with the Sikh Motorcycle Club. He came to Canada in 1970 and has spent over 50 years raising awareness about Sikh beliefs and the importance of the turban. He worked hard to protect the right of Sikhs to wear turbans at work and in daily lives. From 1977 to 1999, Mr. Dhillon led efforts to change the law so Sikhs could ride motorcycle while wearing turbans. After many efforts to change the law, in 1995, Mr. Dhillon filed a complaint with the BC Human Rights Commission. 2 years later, in 1999, the BC Human Rights Commission ordered the BC government to amend the motorcycle helmet law. Thanks to Mr. Avtar Singh Dhillon's dedication and his tireless efforts, Sikhs in BC can proudly wear their turbans while riding motorcycles. For this achievement, he was honored with a gold medal by the top Sikh authority in Amritsar, India. And I am so happy today, Mr. Avtar Singh Dhillon and his family in the gallery. Will the House please join me in thanking and welcome Mr. Avtar Singh Dhillon and his family. Thank you.
Member for Surrey City Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize National Police Week and to honor the courageous men and women who serve in uniform across our province. From urban centres to rural towns, police officers are there not only in moments of crisis, but in the quiet work of community building. Whether supporting victims, responding to emergencies, or walking neighbourhood beats, police officers endeavour to uphold public safety with professionalism, compassion, and resolve. Mr. Speaker, it's important to note that in this House, we are guided by those who know this work. The Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General, the Minister of Community Safety and Integrated Service, and the MLA for Burnaby South Metrotown are all former police officers who have served valiantly. Their service in law enforcement brings a deep understanding of the realities facing both police and the communities that they serve. In today's world, policing is more complex than ever. The toxic drug crisis, mental health, and community safety concerns require multidisciplinary responses. That's why we're backing our words with action. We've increased police academy training seats by 50%. We're investing $230 million into RCMP hiring across the province. And we're putting $100 million each year into gang enforcement, forensic investigations, and community-based crime prevention programs. We're also partnering officers with mental health professionals through mobile integrated crisis response teams because we recognize that public safety and public health are intertwined. As we mark National Police Week under the theme, Committed to Serve Together, let us renew our collective promise to build safer, more resilient communities for everyone. To all officers serving across British Columbia, thank you for your service, your sacrifice, and your commitment. We stand with you.
Member for Abbotsford Mission.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Everyone wants to live in a community where people look out for each other, where support isn't just available in theory, but actually shows up when it matters most. In Mission, we're fortunate to live in that kind of place. And one of the clearest examples of that care in action is Cherubs Inn Maternity House, a safe haven where young, expectant mothers find not only shelter, but dignity, support, and hope for their future. Cherubs Inn was founded by Charlene Brooks, a woman who knows what it means to live through hard seasons and still choose compassion. Raised by a single mother who carried more than her share and still showed up with love, Charlene learned resilience not as a choice, but as a way of life. She saw up close the strength it takes to keep going when the odds are stacked against you. When Charlene's daughter became a teen mom, it became deeply clear to her just how many young women face that journey alone. Her daughter had support, something that many others don't. And the more Charlene recognized the gap, the more certain she became that she had to do something about it. That's what sparked Cherubs Inn, a place where young, expectant mothers can feel safe, supported, and not alone. Today, Cherubs Inn is a home to young women, some still in their teens, who need a place to stay and a fresh start. They get more than a roof over their heads. They get 24-hour support, access to health care, parenting help, life skills, baby supplies, and someone to walk alongside of them as they take their next step. Mr. Speaker, this is what community looks like. Not just talking about care, but living it out. And at Cherubs Inn, they don't just believe in second chances, they help make them happen. One room, one mom, one story at a time.
Member for Kootenay-Monashee.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It's Local Government Week in British Columbia, and I want to take a moment to say I love local government. Truly, the hardest decision I had to make when I chose to run for MLA was knowing that if I were successful, I'd have to step away from local government. There is not a more transparent, connected, or accountable level of government than the one closest to the people. When you serve in local government, whether as a school trustee, councillor, mayor, or regional district director, every decision you make is public, and I mean very public. You'll be asked about that zoning change in the grocery store, that budget vote at the hockey rink, or that bylaw while walking your dog in the park. There's no separation between the people you represent and the life you live, because your constituents are your neighbors, your friends, and your family. I want to give a special shout out to our regional district rural area directors. They carry responsibilities similar to mayors without the support of a council. They do a lot with very limited resources, and my hat goes off to them. To all the incredible folks in local government across this province, thank you for the countless hours, the hard conversations, and the heart you put into your communities. You make democracy work where people feel it most close to home. Happy Local Government Week. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Member for Abbotsford South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to honor the life and legacy of a man whose name may not be widely known, but whose impact was felt across this province and beyond. Larry Wiebe, who passed away, sadly, May 2nd, 2025. If you've consumed a dairy product in British Columbia, chances are it got to you on one of Larry's trucks. Vetter Transport picks up milk from dairy farms across British Columbia and delivers it to milk plants for production. Larry was one of the quiet builders of our province, one of the pioneer families of Abbotsford who started with humble beginnings and built something extraordinary. Larry took over the helm of the Vetter Group and through hard work and vision, helped build it into a multi-million-dollar success story. Under his leadership, the company expanded and modernized, switching their trucks to run on natural gas long before others were thinking about sustainability. But for all of his business achievements, Larry Wiebe was, above all else, a humble, gentle, and kind man. I had the privilege of knowing Larry personally, first meeting him when I was a student working as a waiter, and later getting to know him better when I became the mayor of Abbotsford. In spite of building an empire, Larry never lost touch with his roots. Born in Chilliwack in 1951 and having to learn to drive a truck at the age 13, other than golf, vacations, and spending time with family, one of his favorite things to do was to climb behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler and hit the road. That's where he felt at home. Behind the wheel, not behind a desk. At just 73, Larry was taken from us far too soon. As we mark Dairy Week in British Columbia, it seems a fitting time to celebrate a man whose life's work was deeply tied to that industry and to the people who depend upon it. Abbotsford and British Columbia have lost one of the quieter types, Mr. Speaker, but a giant nonetheless. May he rest in peace.
Madam Clerk.
Oral questions by members.
Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Earlier this year, the MLA for Surrey Cloverdale released internal documents showing that taxpayer-funded safe supply opioids were being trafficked by organized crime. The government initially denied it, then claimed they've changed the policy. But instead of thanking the whistleblower, an investigation into how the leak occurred was ordered. Will the Premier confirm today that his police service director violated the NDP whistleblower protection law, that is, by referring this case to an investigative branch?
Premier.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. This is an important matter. I thank the member for raising it. First of all, let me say it's important that the House recognizes that the member for Surrey South was doing her job. Spent some time in the opposition benches, recognize effective opposition work. This was certainly a case of that. If I had had those documents on the other government, I wouldn't have hesitated. And she shouldn't get a phone call from police for doing her job. She was sent here by British Columbians to do a specific job that she was doing. I just want to correct the Leader of the Opposition. The document was part of a set of documents that were related to an extensive criminal and administrative investigation of pharmacies in the province. There's no denial. In fact, there was an active investigation both by the College of Pharmacies as well as police, and this was a briefing of police to say, keep your eyes out for this. If you're seeing this, bring it back to us. Share information with us. We want to get to the bottom of it. That's the priority. That's where police should be spending their time and efforts. I understand the thinking behind the member of the public service, the Director of Police Services. He shared some information with police. It was released publicly. But I've got to say, in terms of just my own opinion about this thing, I'm extremely reluctant to weigh in on where police put their resources. I really hope that there is more effort going into investigating these pharmacies rather than anything related to the member and what she did in this House.
Leader of the Official Opposition, supplemental.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Even though the Premier didn't answer the question, the Premier at one point was a champion of whistleblower protection law, promising government employees would be safe from retaliation for exposing wrongdoing. Yet when the leak revealed that the criminal diversion of safe supply drugs leading to an apparent policy reversal, a police probe into the source was launched. This government is actively trying to put a chill on anybody who speaks out against them. So to the Premier, does the Premier really honestly think that the public would believe that his police services director acted independently? And can he confirm that no direction was given to the police service director by anyone from his office or anyone from any of his ministers' offices?
Premier.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The director acted independently, as is required under the statute that he acted under. The police, in doing the investigation, are acting independently. I canvassed to try to understand whether we were able to intervene in this ongoing investigation and to say that resources would be better directed elsewhere, and was advised that we are not able to. Police are independently doing this investigation, and I'll just correct the member that we did not direct this investigation. This was initiated independently. It's being conducted independently by the RCMP.
Member for Abbotsford South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Last summer, a Victoria firefighter was disciplined for writing an open letter about the public safety crisis occurring just steps from this very legislature. The Premier said then, and I quote, "If someone gets in trouble for bringing me that information, I'm going to stand up for them and I'm say, yes, bring me the truth from the street that you see, and that will help me be a more effective representative for you," unquote. However, we have now learned the Director of Police Services disagrees and will direct police to harangue whistleblowers who embarrass this government. To the Solicitor General, will you fire Director of Police Services Glenn Lewis for initiating this witch hunt?
Premier.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. We introduced legislation to protect whistleblowers. We support whistleblowers bringing forward information. It can assist us all in understanding what's happening in the province on the front lines. Part of our review around health authorities is around shrinking the gap between frontline health workers that have information and the government so we can deliver a more effective healthcare system. We want this information. Now, this specific case involved documents, photographs, information shared with police by the Director of Police Services about an active criminal and an administrative investigation in the College of Pharmacists. And so it's my understanding, I haven't talked to the director yet, but it's my understanding that it was the leak of that information related to those investigations that resulted in him issuing this direction. That's something that exists under his authorities for him to do independently, under a law that's existed under both sides of this House, and we are not able to direct the police to investigate or not investigate that.
Member supplemental.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The only whistleblowing we seem to hear around here is the Premier blowing Dixie. The opposition has heard many stories from doctors, nurses. I personally have heard them. Teachers, parents, municipal elected officials, Indigenous groups, and many more who have serious concerns about what the BC NDP government is doing to their province. They're terrified to speak out because they see how this government treats people who raise questions about their precious policies. Through you, Mr. Speaker, to the Premier, will you fire the Director of Police Services, Glenn Lewis, before he initiates more retaliatory police witch hunts against British Columbians who just want to speak out against this government and improve this province?
Mr. Premier.
So the independent director has an important role to play in our system. That independence is part of it. The head of the public service will contact him and will understand the intention and what the plan was and so on. But the bottom line is, if we interfered with that independence in a way that, that the member thought was favorable or not favorable to the government, we'd be very upset about that. So there's a reason why he has this independent authority. There's a reason why we can't direct the police on this. But let me say that it was important, the work that the member for Surrey South did to bring this information forward. But I also want to recognize the context. That there was active police investigations, active College of Pharmacy investigations, all of which were supported by this government. And it was a briefing of police officers saying, bring us more information. If you're seeing these kinds of things, tell us. Help our investigation along. The exact opposite of what the member's alleging.
Leader of the third party.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We learned recently that Woodfibre LNG is looking to add a second floating hotel, or flotel, which is a repurposed cruise ship for construction workforce accommodation. They're planning to add it to the waters of the Atcatsum Howe Sound UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. The flotel would accommodate up to an additional 900 construction workers as it speeds up construction to squeeze the last profits out of this sunset industry. The previous Environment Minister forced the first flotel into place by using the Environmental Assessment Office's Compliance and Enforcement Division to override the permit requirements of the District of Squamish, which is the local government tasked with protecting the interests of its residents when it comes to housing availability, public safety, waste management, and some limited environmental impacts. Will the new Minister of Environment commit to a process with more integrity for a second flotel, consultation with the local community, and respect for the permitting authority of the local government?
Minister of Environment.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. The BC Environmental Assessment Office has a comprehensive review process that examines any potential human health and environmental impacts for large projects such as this, and Woodfibre is no different. To protect the environment and to support a strong economy, our government introduced a strengthened Environmental Assessment Act. The EA process was improved to make sure a strong, transparent process is in place. In 2019, the Environmental Assessment Office introduced specific housing requirements following concerns about impacts to local housing and community safety. After a multi-year assessment and extensive engagement with Squamish Nation, the District of Squamish, various NGOs, and the public, the EAO approved the use of the flotel as an alternative housing option. This was the first time that the Environmental Assessment Office introduced this kind of requirement.
Member supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to the Minister for the answer and the highlighting of updating the EA process in 2019, which leads me to wonder why it's being sidelined now by bills in front of this House. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, this community never asked for this project, and it's not in its vision of the future. However, and so unleashing an extra 900 workers into this small community was not a preferred option, and so the flotel may be a solution. However, this is an example of industrial proponents' bait and switch, a familiar strategy. They lowball estimates of the number of workers and overall impact, then move the goalposts once the project is approved, trampling on the quality of life of long-term residents of a community. How will the Minister empower EAO compliance and enforcement officers to ensure that project description specifics are accurate and reflect true project impacts, and that there are consequences when the numbers are adjusted for the convenience of oil and gas multinationals?
Premier.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. You know, I think one of the challenges with this project is a lot of people are anxious about the workers taking housing in Squamish where there's already a shortage of housing. So the creative solution is come up with put people on a cruise ship, keep them out of town, support the growth and prosperity of our provincial economy, and minimize impact on the city of Squamish. Now they're saying they want twice as many workers. They want to hire twice as many people. They want to create more jobs in our province, and they still want to minimize impacts. Now, it'll go through the environmental assessment process around an additional flotel for workers, but I do have to wonder about why we would be opposed to additional workers in British Columbia earning additional money in our province, building our economy, and minimizing impact on the local economy, on the local housing market in Squamish. I can't imagine the member suggesting these workers should be housed in the community, impacting that housing market. So it's hard for me to understand the member's perspective in opposition to what seems to be a pretty pragmatic solution that also increases the prosperity and growth in our province.
Member for Surrey White Rock.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we now know that the Premier helped Michael Bryant secure the job at Legal Aid BC. We now know that the Premier directed the Minister of Social Development to secure a contract with Michael Bryant for $175,000. But in between that, on April 9th of 2024, a very simple news release went out from Legal Aid BC about Michael Bryant's departure. And we are also hearing of some very troubling allegations about Mr. Bryant's behavior that led to this sudden departure. My question is a simple one to either the Premier or the Attorney General. Is he aware of the circumstances surrounding Mr. Bryant's departure on April the 9th from Legal Aid BC, yes or no, to the Premier of this province?
Minister of Social Development and Poverty Reduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As we discussed yesterday in question period, the investments that our government has made across every element of areas of care that people in the downtown east side have identified that they needed, increased access to addiction treatment, employment services, housing. We asked for some outside perspective to be able to look at what gaps remained in service delivery, and especially to have an outside perspective on the kind of systemic changes that we might have overlooked to an area that's been suffering from systemic problems. Michael Bryant has held many roles, as we canvassed in the House yesterday, that bring that unique perspective to this work. These are all valuable perspectives to us. And based on his advice and also what we hear from those on the ground, we're going to continue to invest in people in the downtown east side to make it better for those who live there and safer for community members.
Member supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Leadership matters. It does. And the fact that we just had the Minister of Social Development get up in this House, with all due respect, the question was to the Premier. And as the Premier was the one that advocated for this individual to get the job at Legal Aid BC. It is the Premier, in his own words, that directed the Minister of Social Development to execute this contract. To execute a contract, no terms of reference, no clear mandate, for his friend for $175,000. Mr. Speaker, none of this adds up. None. And the fact is that the Premier himself has now given a contract to one of his friends and will not even stand up and defend it. And the fact is the Premier knows why this man is no longer the CEO of Legal Aid BC, but still chose to direct his minister to execute this contract. The fact is, he has done that under the guise of the tragedy that is going on the downtown east side, and that is absolutely disgusting. I guess we could all wish to have a friend like the Premier, but my question to the Premier is a simple one. Will he get up today and answer the question on why he chose to award Michael Bryant this contract, knowing exactly why he left Legal Aid BC and knowing exactly that there was no terms of reference, no consultation done whatsoever?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker.
Member, come to order. Executive Council has the prerogative, whoever they want to answer the question, they will do it. So stay quiet, member. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Because our government has invested in a way that no other government has since 2017.
Members, order, members. Minister has the floor.
To support people living and working in the downtown east side. Opening 624 net new housing units and 40 new shelter spaces just over the last 2 years. Renovating existing SRO units to improve health and safety, housing close to 100 people who were living in Crab Park in housing, meeting their individual needs. This is unprecedented investment in people and to bring an outside...
Members, please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To hire Michael Bryant based on his experience with his own struggle with addiction and recovery, his work as a lawyer, his work with legal aid. These are all valuable perspectives that he brings to the work. That's why both myself as Minister and all the members of the Cabinet Committee on Community Safety are glad and looking forward to receiving his advice.
Thank you. Member for Richmond Queensborough.
Can the Premier confirm whether the City of Vancouver was consulted in the hiring of his friend, Michael Bryant?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The work that Michael's been doing already involves interviews with more than 100 people with lived experience. He met within his first month of work with many officials in the mayor's office, with police, with other workers in the downtown east side. I was very glad yesterday to get a letter.
Members. Minister has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was very glad to get yesterday, the Premier and I, to get a letter from the Mayor of Vancouver indicating that Mr. Bryant had already engaged with his office, with senior city leadership, and very generously offered to loan him office space to carry out his work. We're grateful for that partnership and that offer of continuing to work together.
Member for Prince George Valemount.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So that's a no. Did the Attorney General or the Premier know why the Premier's friend, Michael Bryant, was fired from legal aid?
Minister.
Thank you. I think we've talked quite a lot about his credentials, and I think we've already said...
Members, Minister has heard the question. Let her, members, Minister will answer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the members well know, that human resource decisions between an employer and an employee are not a matter for this legislature.
Member for Abbotsford West.
Thank you. Well, the chamber question period seems to be like Groundhog Day around here. Let's try this again. Michael Bryant worked under the Attorney General's portfolio just last year. Did she know why the Premier's friend was removed from legal aid?
Minister.
Thank you to the member for continuing to give me the opportunity to describe some of the outcomes of our government's investments in the downtown east side, since I've answered all their other questions. So I'm really glad to be working my ministry with Lookout Society in the downtown east side. Their ethical employment program, LEAP, integrates supportive housing along with comprehensive employment services. And for me to be able to meet people formerly homeless and addicted who have gone through the work that we have funded but has been delivered by organizations on the ground, to hear people that are now housed, now have more than full-time employment and are so proud of the work that they've done. That is one person at a time, a sign of the investment that that we have done in the downtown east side. There's much more work
Thank
for
you,
us to do,
Minister.
and I look forward to Michael Bryant's
Thank you.
advice on carrying that out.
Member for Abbotsford Mission.
Mr. Speaker, at the heart of this issue, this question is about to hit the heart of this issue. As government, they need to be accountable for this. This is not wasted questions that we're just repeating. How does the Attorney General feel about working in a government that promotes a friend of the Premier accused of misconduct while claiming to be a champion for women?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll take this opportunity to say how very encouraged I am to see 2 new data sets for outcomes in the downtown east side. Up to March of this year compared to 1 year prior, we have 3% fewer people in the downtown east side on income assistance.
Members.
And we have 7% fewer people whom are unhoused. That is a sign that our investments are making a material difference in people's lives. We know there is more to do.
Member for Kelowna Centre.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The lack of answers here in the covering for their friend is kind of embarrassing. My question is for the Parliamentary Secretary for Gender Equity. Does she support the hiring of the Premier's friend, Michael Bryant, as the Downtown East SAR?
Member, questions should be directed to the Executive Council members, not to the Parliamentary Secretaries.
I'll direct it to the Premier then. Thank you.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, grateful for the opportunity to talk about investments in the downtown east side. There are people receiving health care on the downtown east side today because of the work that we have done to help more people access addiction treatment and care. Opening the new Road to Recovery treatment center at St. Paul's was one, and expanding the Hope to Health Clinic to increase capacity to help 50% more people with complex mental health and addiction challenges. That was a $25 million investment. And that's what the debate in this chamber is about on our side. It's about investing in people and getting outcomes that change people's lives.
Member for Bulkley Valley Stikine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And you know, this is kind of symptomatic of what's going on in this House, that we can't get answers from ministers when we're asking the questions relevant to the people that we're supporting. Does the Premier believe the Premier's friend accused of misogynistic behavior should be reviewing services for vulnerable women? And I would like the Premier to answer.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Also, as another way to invest in community safety and supports for people in the downtown east side.
Minister will continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've been working with police and Crown Council to keep repeat offenders off the street and stop criminal gang activity in the downtown east side. More than doubling funding for victim services and crime prevention after the old government cut it. Standing up to organized crime and money laundering that has fueled the toxic drug crisis and gang violence, and hiring more sheriffs to keep courts open and safe. We know there is more to do. We're going to keep working to support people, and we're going to keep bringing in outside perspectives to identify the gaps in systems that remain.
Member for Kamloops Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, it appears the only person on the downtown east side that this government's life has changed for the better is the Premier's friend, Michael Bryant, over the last few months, who received his $175,000 contract to review the spending that this government is doing because they don't want to admit it's failing. Does the minister think it's wise that Mr. Bryant should be reviewing nonprofit agencies while actually working out of office space provided by those same nonprofit agencies?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To be clear, Michael Bryant is not reviewing the operations of not-for-profits. But he is looking at systemic patterns and ways that we can better, as a government, deliver service. And I do appreciate Mayor Sims' offer of space. Michael Bryant has been working out of a number of different locations, and we're certainly open to new space if that is more comfortable for the partnership with the city.
Member supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, you know, the lack of answers and, more importantly, the body language from the Attorney General, from the Premier, from other members of the Cabinet say it all. We have a Premier that said he had all the answers when he became the Premier on how to fix the downtown east side. We now have a review happening that the government is so proud of. They kept it secret and only actually acknowledged it finally once the media started asking questions months later. We find out it's for $175,000 for 6 months. We find out it's a friend of the Premier's, who not only the Premier recommended to go work at legal aid, then got fired from legal aid under a cloud of suspicion around potential misogynistic behavior. But that wasn't good enough for the Premier. He still recommended and actually ordered. We can use the words recommended all we want or suggested. If it's the Premier telling a brand newly appointed minister who to hire in a role, the Premier told the minister to hire his friend for $175,000, not caring about the allegations in the background. Talk about some kind of hiring process, Mr. Speaker. So again, to the Premier, why would he recommend his friend, should have known full well the situation around legal aid at a bare minimum, to take on, to try to clean up his mess that he created as the Premier in the downtown east side?
Mr. Premier.
Thank you, There's an issue that got me into politics, which was the state of life of people living in the downtown east side. Crucially important to me for deciding to run for office in the first place. In my time as Attorney General, as Premier, I'm not seeing the conditions in the neighborhood improve. Made significant investments in housing, supporting people in different ways, but there is a cohort of people in the neighborhood that are served by nonprofit organizations, the city, the federal government, by our government, by private charities, and the metrics, the outcomes, the improvements for that specific group, I just don't think we're seeing them. And so I didn't know Michael Bryant before. He was hired independently by Legal Aid BC. Worked with him as Attorney General.
Members.
Members have been wrong about 15 different things today. I can't correct them all, Honourable Speaker. But he was hired...
Members.
If I rose on privilege on every dumb thing they said today, we'd be here all afternoon. Now...
Members. Just have some patience. It's almost done.
I know Michael Bryant. He was hired by Legal Aid BC, independently of me. But I saw his work at Legal Aid BC. He worked with Indigenous people, he worked with poor people, he worked with people who are struggling, get them access to justice in a meaningful way. Did some big restructuring there. And I need him to use those skills in the downtown east side to find ways that we can provide better supports for people. He struggled with his own addiction and recovery. He's got empathy. He's literally working out of spaces where I think a lot of British Columbians might not feel totally comfortable, but where many downtown east side residents, that's the only place they feel comfortable, to hear from them firsthand. And that's a point of critique. It's been raised over and over again. He's got experience in law. He's a lawyer. He's got experience in government. He was a former Attorney General. He understands the challenge at play. I look forward to seeing his report. I agree with members on this. We judged on the results of the impacts in the downtown east side, an issue that has been too long overlooked. And I'll also accept their critique that we've got a heck of a lot more to do there. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The bell ends the question period. Member for Abbotsford South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise on a point of privilege, personal privilege of an important matter before this House. I'd like to clear it up, if I may.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, serious. A cat has gone missing.
And are you apologizing?
I think we need to clear this up, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my good name has been questioned in this House. It's even gone to the extent, Mr. Speaker, where a tabloid reporter, I believe, has been hired to be a commissioner and has allegedly wrecked a $350,000 Lamborghini with a car expense like that. You'd think he'd be working for the Premier's office, but I digress.
Member, come to the point, member.
I will get to the point. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The point is, the facts are, Mr. Speaker, I did go into your office looking for you. And what did I find?
You found a cat and you took it away.
I found a cat with no food, no water. There wasn't even a litter box. Surrounded by kittens. Clearly, Mr. Speaker.
And they're waiting for their mother to be returned.
Yeah. Clearly, Mr. Speaker, good pet owners know that they should spay or neuter their pets. But I digress again. Mr. Speaker, as I recall the events, said cat practically jumped into my arms because it felt abandoned. As all cat owners know, we do not own the cats. The cats pick who they want. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, the cat has had a wonderful time. It has traveled around the legislature. It has traveled this province. It's been in the cockpit of a plane. It's been in the bridge of one of the BC ferries. It's gone for dim sum, and it even went to your office, Mr. Speaker. But sadly, the door was locked and nobody was home. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, Macy is thrilled that you have promised to make a donation to the SPCA.
Too late.
Well, if the cat returns, that will be on you then, Mr. Speaker. We don't pick with the pets. The pets don't pick. We don't pick the pets. They pick us. I will make a donation to my local SPCA.
It's about time.
I encourage all members of this House to make a donation to their local SPCA and all cat lovers to do the same.
Thank you, member. Have a seat.
Mr. Speaker, one more thing. If you will graciously honor your donation, and in addition to that, Macy has expressed that she would like to see all 93 ridings of this great province. I am sure that she will be back before you return from your chair to your office, Mr. Speaker.
Member, for your information, I don't listen to people who steal cats. Member for Langley Abbotsford.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise in response to the question of privilege raised on Monday by the Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs. While I respect his right to bring this matter forward, I want to provide some context. Over the past several months, I've received numerous phone calls from truckers, company dispatchers, who have raised serious concerns about the union's operations, including what they describe as unfair labour practices. While I do not believe this rises to the level of breach of privilege as defined by the precedents of this House, I remain open to any direction you may provide and trust in your judgment to rule appropriately. Now, I understand that my use of the words blatantly corrupt and systemic nepotism are the focus of the question of this privilege. In order to address this concern and out of respect for the rules of this House, I withdraw these comments without reservation. Thank you, Speaker.
Member for Surrey Centre.
Honourable Speaker, I have the honour to present the report of the Select Standing Committee on Private Bills and Private Member Bills on Bill number M205, Intituled Mental Health Amendment Act 2025. The committee recommends not to proceed further with this bill. Thank you.
Members, the committee's report on Bill 5205, Mental Health Amendment Act 2025, will be considered at report stage during the next private member's time. Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk.
Orders of the day.
Government House Leader.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. In this chamber, I call continued second reading debate Bill 14. And in the Douglas Fir Room, Section A, I call continued committee stage debate on Bill 15.
Committee chairs.